Good afternoon and welcome to our final presentation for the day. We have Mr. Shelby Butler, with the Director of the NAVAIR Office of Small Business Programs. We'll bring Mr. Butler to the stage, let him present, and then we'll open the floor for your questions. So please hold those questions to the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Good afternoon, small businesses! Thank you for joining us today at this wonderful CS Space event. It is my pleasure to welcome you for a view into the window of how to do business with NAVAIR. My name is Shelby Butler, and I'm the NAVAIR Director of the Small Business Program. Our goal today is to prepare your company to be defense industrial ready. Now, reach under your chair seats and pull out the contract from NAVAIR that's customized for your business. Go ahead. No, that's not how it works. This is not Oprah. It takes perseverance, persistence, doing your hard work, patience, dedication, performance, the right capabilities matched with the right requirements to win a NAVAIR contract. Next slide. Our command focuses its energy on our sailors and Marines. Since its inception, NAVAIR's goal has been to provide full life cycle support of naval aviation aircraft, weapons, and systems operated by sailors and Marines. This includes research, design, development, systems engineering, acquisition, test and evaluation, training facilities and equipment, repair and modification, and in-service engineering and logistics support. We rely on our team members, civilian, military, and our industrial partners to adhere to these principles and provide our sailors and Marines with the latest technology and the ability to sustain legacy systems, weapons, and aircraft. Next slide. Our role in naval aviation is very clear. We are dealing with at-pace challenges from Russia, China, and others. A year or so ago, I would start out by saying near-peer. At-pace challenges, folks. Therefore, we have to increase our innovation and productivity in the areas that support the aircraft and our weapons systems. A huge part of that involves acquiring the applicable data to make informed decisions regarding cost, schedule, and performance. We also are focused on increasing the Navy and Marine Corps' capabilities, readiness, and affordability. Next slide. This slide details our command and shows the various functions that are performed at the different sites. You should note the NAVAIR headquarters is located at Hudson River, Maryland. Next slide. This slide details our top 10 NAICS for NAVAIR overall, i.e. large and small businesses, and the top 10 NAICS codes for just the
takeaway here is the fact that our obligation for aircraft manufacturing is an order of magnitude larger than all others. But our shift is moving toward sustainment. Also, the top two NAICS codes for small businesses are 541330, engineering services, and 541715, which represents zippers and STTRs. I would state that we do not focus on small business goals as an accurate metric of our collective improvement at NAVAIR. Instead, I focus on moving from sole source dependency to competition, stagnant to paradigm shift, and from no solution to small business innovation. The motto in our office is small business, ready, willing, and able. Ready represents you. Small businesses that have the capabilities and skill sets to meet or exceed our requirements with the proper resources and the reach back to execute on that contract. And I'll just plug in here. It's be good at proposal writing, but be great at contract execution. That is critical for small business individually and as a whole. We depend on small businesses to execute on those contracts. Willing, this is represented by the willingness of the required activities to look at opportunities in the development of their acquisition strategies that maximize small business opportunities. And then we have ABLE. ABLE represents the acquisition vehicles that are used, required, and available to access small businesses. Some of those acquisition vehicles that we currently have are the Program Management Contract and Support Services MAC, Full Reproduction MAC, Kit Repair, Augmentation, Components, and Engines MAC, Contracted Maintenance, Modification, Air Crew, and Related Services MAC, Program and Systems Support Small Business, the Prototype and Limited Production MAC, and the PMA 201 Container MAC, which happens to be a hub zone set aside. So let's pause for a second and let's get a read on who's here and where we are in the total scheme of things. Just by a show of hands, how many of you out there have subcontracted with the government? Okay. How many of you have prime contracted with the government? All right, get a little more specific. How many of you have subcontracted with NAVAIR? All right. Lone Wolf, how many of you, I gotta go back here, have prime contracted with NAVAIR? All right, a hungry crowd here, very hungry. All right, so, looking at these NAICS codes, I want you to think about it. Now, if you fail to see any of your NAICS codes listed, that doesn't mean that these are the only NAICS codes that we contract, but these are the top 10. But we can easily give you an idea of those NAICS codes in their entirety. And when you look at our long-range acquisition forecast, and if you are taking all that information in, and you're looking at your capabilities and skill sets, comparing them to the requirements, and you're not seeing a match, then it may be time to pivot. 90, 180. So simply said, if we are not buying what you are selling, then your company may need a course correction. When the horse is dead, then it's time to dismount. All right. So one way to approach this is to dust off your business development plan and reevaluate the direction of your company. I'm just going to ask you guys, put you on the spot. How many of you have looked at it or updated your business development plans in the last year? All right. How about the last 6 months? tough crowd here. Now, that's key. Now, if you need to pivot and look at other opportunities, let's talk about that for a second. An option there would be to pursue teaming agreements, mentor-protege relationships, or joint ventures, and work with other companies that fill your capability gaps, or vice versa. This way, you spread your capabilities over a wider swath and make yourselves more capable and competitive in these small business and contract evaluations. So whether it is prime or subcontracting, you want to make sure you have the capabilities and skill sets that can meet or exceed those requirements. So let me talk about requirements for a second. I personally like to categorize our requirements in 3 specific categories. Our known knowns, and when I say known knowns, I'm thinking about the long-range acquisition forecast list of requirements, the industry days where we present exactly what we're looking for. We know it, we present it, and we expect you to respond with ways to accomplish those. Or our pre-solicitation conferences, sources sought, those types of venues express our known knowns. Then we have our known unknown. Now those are those types of requirements where we might present as SYSCON topics and say, here's a topic, we really aren't sure how to accomplish it, don't really know how to get around to meeting that, but we're going to put it out there and let industry figure that out for us. Maybe a request for information is another way of putting that requirement out there. So we are looking for industry to tell us, this is how you should approach this. That's a known unknown. Lastly, we have the unknown unknown. And that's where we are really depending on small businesses. I'm telling you, this is the niche that small businesses can bring to NAVAIR and DoD as a whole. Coming in with those unknown unknowns where we haven't even fathomed the problem because we haven't met it yet. We are figuring out the known knowns and the known unknowns here, and you're coming in over here looking 3 years, 5 years down the road, and you're saying to us, hey, NAVAIR, have you guys thought of this? Because I think with that process or the way you're building that item or that interface could be vastly improved if you did this, this, and this, and you could meet or it would prevent you from hitting a barrier 3 years or 5 years down the road that you haven't even seen yet. This is the type of innovation that we're looking for from small businesses. So my plea today is to pivot, shake up what's going on in your company, and look at our processes, look at our interfaces, look at our kill chains. If you have access to those and you are able to figure out start to finish, let's figure out how we can compress this into something that is more efficient, more effective, and uses less resources and gets to where we need to go. Small businesses, innovation, unknown unknowns. All of that comes together with you helping us. And this is a team effort, and it's ongoing. We depend on our industry partners. So as we've gone through these last couple of years with the pandemic, it's been very tough on small businesses. We really need to not only maintain, but build our defense industry base, specifically small businesses. So I'm looking to you guys to fill in the gaps for those known unknowns, those unknown unknowns, and come in with the innovation. We have different vehicles where we can assist you with that. We have a PIA, a partnership intermediary agreement with Impacts, and that's one way of really bringing in those types of concepts. You can write point papers and address some of those unknown unknowns, and we can fill those. You can meet with us for the specifics on that, and once you get through the conceptual and get to the prototype, you can work with our NAVAIR consortium. So there are ways to build and get assistance with those. Unknown unknowns. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Next slide. Here are some of the resources for your reference, and I highly encourage you to do your homework and to research the FPVSNG website for information on past procurement, review the long-range acquisition forecast, and contact any of our small business professionals. You can use the email address, central address there, to contact us and set up, if you have not already, set up a one-on-one industry meeting with our small business professionals, our deputy directors. Highly recommended, beneficial, and I'm telling you, I'm going to try to just keep it on the down low. It's the best small business organization in the government. I said it. That's NAVAIR OSB. All right. Thank you. And now I yield the remainder of my time to the audience for your questions.
Yes, we're going to open up the floor for your questions. Does anybody have any? Yes, sir.
Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for the info. Is there funding available for the unknown unknowns?
And that's a good question, and that depends. And so that's where we get into it with the industry one-on-ones to get the specifics, and then we can start working with some of our required activities to see what the art of the possible is, and see where it might wedge in somewhere. It may end up rolling into a SIPR, but it just depends on what that happens to be. So my answer is it depends. So definitely come with it, sit with us, and we'll have that discussion.
Hey, good afternoon. Question for the unknown unknowns. How does a small business protect both processes and parts, ideas, concepts to try to engage with NAVAIR without obviously then NAVAIR taking that and just running with it on its own and not including the small business that brought them the concepts?
That's a good question, and I back in the day I ran an engineering and IT business, and honestly I rarely responded to RFIs because I would look at that requirement and I would think I have a solution, but I'm not sharing it, because as soon as I throw it over that wall, I'll never hear from them again, and they'll take it and run with it. Well, we are bound, we're legally bound to honor that as if it was copyright music. And so we will work with you on it, but there's no way that we can take your idea and then just give you the Heisman and run with it. So we can get to the specifics there, because if I say more on that, then I'll have to bring my lawyer in here to speak for me. But I would say that we will not run with your idea. We would respectfully honor it and work with you to bring that to fruition. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please. Really got our attention. We're going to talk about that. So I have two questions, but they're easy. One is, look at the DOD recruitment program, ready about the SBA all small recruitment program. One overtake the other. That's one. The other one is that you talked about the unknown unknown. And I was just wondering pathways for a forum for discussion. And we have included language
Okay, the DoD Mentor Protege program, left hand. SBA, all smalls, right hand. The twins you'll never meet. You can participate in either one. You can participate if you're so lucky in both. But they will equally give you advantages and grow your business. Just Mentor Protege, just a great program in itself, but either one. The latter question, it depends, but I would say it would start with that industry one-on-one meeting, and we can start there, or presenting the point paper to one of our PEOs, which typically it depends on where it needs to go, where it fits, and then we can move from there. But we would make recommendations based on that initial one-on-one industry meeting. Question in the back.
Mr. Butler, thank you. Two questions for you. You mentioned MACs, and I lost count at about 10. You mentioned a multitude of MACs that are in existence in NAVAIR. Are there any veteran small business set-asides in those MACs? And then the follow-up question is, do you differentiate between a veteran-owned small business, and can you elaborate on how that helps or doesn't help getting a NAVAIR business?
Clarify that second. Okay, well, most of the MACs that I named were all small business set aside in totality. One had a lot 3 that was small business set aside, but the others were all small business. As far as veteran owned or service disabled veteran owned, we do focus on the socioeconomic categories too. We try to build, I mentioned hub zone set aside, but we do try to, where the market research shows that there are 2 or more veteran-owned or service disabled, veteran-owned small businesses capable of executing or proposing to a contractor, executing and showing those skill sets and capabilities, then we can set it aside accordingly. So I can't name one offhand right now that's set aside at NAVAIR headquarters or here, but I'm pretty sure we have at least 1 or 2 around the nation at the other sites. But we do set them aside based on the market research.
Other questions? Okay. Great presentation.
All right. No more questions. Thank you so much for coming.